electrical signals interpreted by your brain.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Open your mind.
Well, happy Friday, Red Pill family. And we're here for the Conversations on the Fringe. I'm your host, Jeff Spike Wong. And today we are very excited to bring you someone very special. Our guest tonight is an author of the best-selling book right here, Contact, an incredible true story of contact with beings from another world in spiritual awakening. And this is a fantastic book. I have often also visited her on YouTube, and this is when I find things just go chaotic. And during this transition, I need something to calm me down, and I visit Lily's channel. And although we arrived to this similar place here, we both have our unique journeys to our own. So please welcome Lily Nova. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction. I'm glad you enjoyed the book. And yeah, I try to be a voice of reason in these times. It gets a little crazy.
Well, you know, it just we are gathering so much energy and momentum going into this. And at this point, you can't escape all the things that's going around. And I mean, it is going chaotic on so many levels.
Right.
And at times, even doing research, I just have to stop. I have to come back and center myself. And I visit you. And I'm so glad you do what you do. So let's talk about certain things. Like when I started going down your book, and first and foremost is that you didn't really start to go down this direction until 2020. Am I right?
Yeah, that's correct. 2020, in the middle of lockdowns, is when I turned to space photography. I'm a dietetics graduate, so I was working as a dietetic technician, nutritionist. And during COVID, I turned to space photography in the middle of lockdowns. And that's when I began being visited by UFOs. And I began documenting evidence of these encounters because nobody believed me. And I'm like, this is the biggest thing that's ever happened. So people need to know about it. And then shortly after my encounter started, it started being slowly dripped out into the collective. And then I was like, wow. It was before UFOs really hit the mainstream. Now they're in the mainstream. It's a common topic. And so I knew that this was a really important shift and this was actually happening.
Wow. And as you talked about your youth, that you were very intuitive as a child. Can you share a little bit with us, just like what kind of things you remember from growing up? They just went, hey, why am I a little bit different? Or why do I think this way?
Yeah. Man, I feel like my brain just works a little bit differently. I'm more creative. And more intuitive too. Like I feel like a lot of people, they see things as either black or white, or they kind of put things into a box a lot of the time. But I feel like I'm able to kind of see things from a broader perspective, and I'm very empathetic also. Like I'm compassionate. I can just more easily pick up on kind of different sides and understand just naturally lots of things, I guess.
Right.
And then also, yeah, just being around people too. It can be a little bit overwhelming. So I've always kind of stuck to myself a bit, been more of a black sheep, is a good word for it. So
Interesting.
that's always been apparent. And I'm a big dreamer also.
That's
You know,
great.
people will say, no, that's not possible. And I'm like, watch me.
That's right. Were you artistic and creative as a child as well?
Yeah. So paint and art, it was a really big part of my life. Drawing, writing. I grew up writing. So a lot of kids, they would play sports. I was never an athlete. I was the artist. I would sit in and I would write short stories or even write my own books at a very young age about people with superpowers and other sorts of things, just kind of these interesting things. And then, further down the road, once I discovered that those things are real, it started to make sense. I was tapping into an innate wisdom, really. Yeah.
Right. And what I loved about your book too is that you really shared the relationship with you and your father. And
Yeah.
I thought that was, of course, a big part of, I think, where you became who you are today.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
He's my
go-
he was my guiding compass. He led me down this journey and he passed over a decade now. But his passing was a major catalyst for me. And I had very deep conversations with him too. Like he was open to all of these things. He was definitely a starseed. He was definitely awakened. But sometimes that people who feel deeply and know that there's more, sometimes they have a harder time in life. And that was the epitome of my father. He had a hard time managing all of these feelings and all of these knowings. So he self-medicated, and that was a big part of my upbringing and just learning how to navigate that. But we were very, very close, and I still have contact with him sometimes since he's passed. And I know that he played a really big role. I feel like ultimately he basically sacrificed himself in order to start my awakening journey, because a lot of the time it starts with something bad or something terrible that happens, and then you go to seek deeper answers. And that's exactly what my relationship with him, he's where it all started.
That's fantastic. Yeah. And also the continuous to be able to still connect with him. That's an incredible journey, incredible story. Because I have similar path with my dad. And it's not the funny thing is my dad was a stepdad, who got me involved into the ufology and ancient aliens and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I bet I'm at least twice of your age, so the journey has been parallel in a lot of ways for a lot of us in our unique journey. This is why I said the connection is there, but yet all of us had our own path going into this. And I hope Repill family, some of you who's out there who's always kind of questioning this type of connection, wondering what's going on, why is our world going this way? And this is one of the things I talk about, especially, with the Repill audience who's really geopolitical driven, that why are we not even really discussing the so-called the extraterrestrials or the interdimensionals, the Galactic Federation? It just seems to be we're so driven with just the third density here.
Yeah. Well, I think that's by design, because there's a lot of enslavement systems and even mind control and programming systems that are in place that it keeps things very superficial instead of helping you to cultivate a connection within or to a higher power or to what else is out there. Whenever everybody's worried about they can't even pay their bills, or they're worried about more of these superficial things. So that's definitely by design, but we're seeing it trickling out, and now it's going into hyperdrive right now. A lot of these disclosures and a lot of the things going on this planet are so dark and disgusting. It's going to take some time for the world to even process what the heck has been going on.
Right. And when you shared in your book regards to having the visions and the connection to past life, all the way back to Egyptian times and so forth, is there any indication that this type of so-called evil and the ritualistic killings dates all the way back then and
Yeah.
had history of that?
Yeah. I believe there was a lot of corruption and kind of weird stuff going on with Egypt. A lot of light, but I feel like it was also very infiltrated. And I went to Egypt March in 2025, and I saw a lot of war, a lot of evidence of war, of much deeper war that that humanity doesn't even know about. A lot of these places looked like they were hit with directed energy weapons. Our history has literally been buried. And you see that in the Southwest in the United States too. And there's hints of Atlantis. Atlantis is a big part of this as well, but there's hints of Atlantis in these advanced civilizations all over the Southwest and all over the United States. But it's like it's been buried and it's been suppressed. We're a species of amnesia, Graham Hancock famously says, and he's absolutely right about that. Touching on Atlantis for a moment. So I've seen visions and kind of tuned into, I've been shown things that happen in Atlantis that are still impacting us today. And this has to do with so the Atlanteans, they were advanced civilization, but very similar to what's playing out now. The elites rose to power, corruption started to come in, the technology was surpassing the spiritual connection, and people became greedy. But I've been shown visions of some of these elites and some of these corrupted individuals opening portals and doing these rituals and allowing dark entities in. And I'm hearing contracts right now, doing some of these very dark contracts that basically allowed this dark infestation to come out and basically take over the planet. And then Atlantis, the plug had to be pulled on that. I mean, the whole civilization was destroyed and we started over basically. But yeah, I believe we're still heavily impacted by what happened with Atlantis. And even before that, if you get into the galactic aspect, you have these galactic wars that have happened, like the Lyran Wars, the Orion Wars. And it's kind of like Earth's the final frontier. Like all of this stuff is coming to a head, and hopefully this will reach kind of a peace treaty, because we're a combination of all of these different extraterrestrial genetics. And we're experiencing a massive purge right now. A lot of clearing of dark magic and ritualistic things that are starting to come to the surface.
Yeah. And I think that's pretty hard for a lot of people to swallow, because just that it's been presented to us in this generation, the last several hundred years, I think, being a story, being a fairy tale, being a movie, fantasy, and it just keep on being promoted as something of made up. And as we can see now, that it's not even close. This is part of, I think, this planet for a long time. Now, share with us a little bit of what your thoughts are. Why is there such of this dark energy for so long? Well, what actually makes this so-called the people to kind of jump on ship and go, hey, okay, I don't want bad, but if you're offering it and then you're going to give me whatever XXX, being money, wealth, power, on and on, then I will allow this darkness to overrun our goodness. Right.
Well, the darkness pertains to your wounds, I'd say, is a big part of it. So that's how they can easily corrupt people, through their wounds, and they can basically monetize on that. So wounds of, if you can't sit with yourself and be happy with yourself, if you need money or you need substances or you need sex or whatever it may be, they're going to offer that to you. So they take your weak spots and they exploit them. So that's how they can easily corrupt. But they're also trickster energies. So they can even masquerade as light. And you have to really be mindful of that when dealing with the spiritual aspects as well, and people who are intuitive and see these different beings and things like that, because they can pertain to your ego. Be careful of things that want to inflate your ego. Like when the Galactics contacted me and I started having these experiences, and then I started having experiences with not only extraterrestrial beings, but also angelics. I started developing a relationship with Source, the universe, or God, whatever you want to call it. I feel like I was trained very well because I was shown I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one. I'm not better than anybody else. Anybody can do this.
Right.
And I feel like that's one way that they kind of infiltrate is by inflating your ego. So I could have been like, oh, I am the reincarnation of Cleopatra, and I'm the only one who has contact with extraterrestrials. Like you see some people kind of going down that road. And that can be dangerous. So that's a red flag. You have to just look out for all the red flags because these trickster energies, they can be very tricky.
Yes. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, for the longest time, I didn't tell anybody about the things I did, which is, the meditation, the channeling, the focus of, taking those things and become a practice of daily lives, because I just thought that nobody really understood it. So therefore, if I said anything about it, they would judge me for what I tell them opposed to what I do. So I just went on my own merry way and did what I did. But behind closed doors, of course, I was constantly reading, constantly focusing and studying. So one of the things that I thought was very interesting is you brought up generational trauma that we would inherit and bring and come back and redo lessons and lessons and lessons. Can you share a little bit with us regards to how you came across that?
Yeah. So I've done a lot of healing work, and I call that the Starseed Boot Camp that my guides and galactic family helped guide me through. And some of it was generational trauma, and even coming from a health and nutrition background, that if your grandmother experiences something very traumatic, that is actually passed on through the genes and into your DNA. So you can still feel the effects from that. And that's scientifically proven. I think it goes back like 12 generations. They can actually track that. So you can even look that up if you wanted to look more into that. So that's a very real thing, and that impacts us for generations. And then you also have past lifetime trauma and karma. It seems like we're put in this kind of this dense reality where everything is game, where we can experience light, we can experience dark, we experience duality, polarity. So because I wondered, okay, why is it this lifetime that we're clearing all of this stuff?
Right.
Why does it seem to all be coming to the surface right here and right now? And I've even had to revisit things and heal things that have happened to me millions of years ago in a whole other star system. So why is it coming up now? And I feel like because of the density or frequency that we are within, which is like the 3D, it's just, we can experience all of that, and all of that is playing out here. And we're working on transcending that, healing that, shining a light on that, learning the lessons from it, and then shifting up into the next octave or the next frequency or the next density where it won't impact us like it has. But those things can impact you in a number of ways. Even if you were, so I recently had a client who was experiencing some negative paranormal things, some negative attacks, right? And so then I did a one-on-one session with them to see, okay, where's the root cause of this? And what came up was actually a past lifetime of his in Egypt. He was in ancient Egypt. And he was some sort of a mystic. He worked with the occult. And he seemed to work with the pharaoh. And I think he dabbled in some dark things. Either way, he got in trouble and he was imprisoned. So there was kind of this fragment of him that was so traumatized by that experience that he was kind of like in a cage, an aspect of him, a soul shard, because these traumatic things can also fracture you. Literally, trauma fractures you, and that's if you get into like the MK Ultra, the mind control. That's how they program you. Is they're fracturing your mind basically. So similar can happen with the soul, where it becomes fractured. So he had dabbled in some of these dark things, maybe not willingly, but he was carrying around a karma for that, but also a deep trauma for being imprisoned from that. So we sent healing to it. He became aware of it. And awareness, I believe, is 90% of it. Once you can shine a light on it and you become aware of it, you can move past it. And you can send it healing. You can send it love. Because really, darkness is just the absence of light. And light is love. So if you send it love, if you send it healing, eventually it's going to dissipate. Because darkness can't exist where the light is. They can't coexist like that at the same time. So a lot of the things we're seeing play out on the world stage is these shadows coming out to be shined a light on. Right? So it's like really dark things. And these things didn't just start happening. They've been happening for a very, very long time. But now they're all coming to the surface so that we can become aware of it. We can pull it out from the root and stem, heal it, which is a process, and then transcend above it.
That's fantastic. And why do you think there's such an attack in our current world on the divine feminine? That's one of the things I've always just I guess puzzled. It just seems to be that our society for the last, I don't know, 1,000, 2,000 years. And you know, that's a relatively short time in measurement, if that we had any measurement too. But it seems to be that carried on and it's continue on. And it's more evident that we're now seeing that certain groups are very adamant about suppressing the divine feminine. Can I get your thought on that?
Yeah, and the first thing that comes to mind, well, Mary Magdalene. She was actually a very important key figure, a very powerful being. I believe that she was, that her and Yeshua or Jesus actually had children. And there's a continuation of that bloodline, which has been very heavily targeted because it contains soul memory. It contains higher frequencies, higher knowledge. And that's portrayed in some movies too. I forget what movie that is with Tom Hanks, where the Holy Grail, they find out at the end that it's the Magdalene bloodline, and they've literally been tracking these people down and killing them for it. So it's kind of a different tangent, but that's an example of disclosure coming through some of these films. But Magdalene, so she was basically called a whore. You know, she was painted like that, and that wasn't the case at all. The divine feminine it's very nurturing, it's very creative, it's very intuitive. Males are also intuitive, but it's just a different type of energy. Females, the feminine's often, more intuitive, just naturally. So that's dangerous because females can be like the voice of reason. Not saying that in all cases, but it's just kind of like genetically wired within us to have kind of more of that intuitive connection, that creativity. It's a different brainwave, where the masculine is more like action oriented and could be more logical. And, they've also kind of been more of like the warriors, right? The masculine's also been very exploited and distorted. But the big thing is divine masculine and feminine, if in proper balance, that and in divine union, in a healthy relationship, that is such a threat. That is such a threat because we're so powerful. That energy, that sacred energy between a masculine and feminine is so powerful. I believe it can create worlds. It can, it can change so much. So of course they wanted to the dark side, if you will. They wanted to attack that and make it extremely distorted and turn females more into like a sex object, and kind of take that away, that possibility of this powerful divine force, especially with the divine masculine and feminine joined together. That's a big threat to them.
And who is them?
The dark side. It really is. It's like Star Wars, you guys.
Yeah.
It's like Star Wars. You've got the force, right? The dark
Yes.
and the light. So the dark side would be even like these demonic entities, because they feed off of distortion. They loosh off of anger, fear, lust. That's their energy source. That's their food source, as well as some of these more negatively oriented extraterrestrials, like the reptilians. Not saying that all reptilians are bad. There are positive factions as well, but they have, they're just more of a predatory type race. Not all of them, not all factions, but some of the factions that I believe some of them have very strong bloodlines on Earth, like the royal family and things like that. But also just these demonic, archonic energies.
Yes. And when you're communicating with your like Talia, who's been working with you for quite a while, is there any discussion in regards to how to relieve humanity from the primitive of the lust, so therefore the connection can go all the way through? Because that to me is the number one suppression that has been forced upon humanity, is to keep the level of that emotion, to treat sex not as a unionship, but as a conqueror, or as a power move, if you will, right? So share with us a little bit in regards to if there's discussions of regards to, the unionship of the male and the female entity, and how to grow out of, especially from the male side. I mean, if you look at how the males has behaved to our women, it's just an incredible, insane of how they worship it, but at the same time they demean it.
Right.
Does that make sense? In the same way that the female side does the same thing. I need to be worshipped, but yet then I'll go pimp myself out on, social media.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately it's a lot of societal programming that, and you see a lot of women on like OnlyFans and things like that, young, very young women, even girls, on some of these websites, because they can make money. They can make so much money off of this, and it's terrible. I'm hearing black magic. Like, it's a form of black magic. It's dark magic, that lust, and it's energy harvesting. It allows those darker entities to like energy harvest off of you. So how do we move beyond that? Well, we have a lot of programming to dissolve. It needs to be a holistic approach, because it's not coming from just one direction. We grew up watching our parents. Did they have a healthy relationship?
Right.
Sometimes, but not often. Some people were lucky to watch a healthy relationship. My parents, I love them very, very much, and they were fantastic people, but my father struggled with alcoholism. He would get, only whenever he was messed up would he get verbally abusive, you could say. Whenever he passed, he had been 3 years sober and completely turned around. It was just alcohol that made him that way. And then my mother was very codependent. She catered to him even whenever it was hurting the family unit. So that's a lot of programming, and it's generational. Again, we watch that. So we really just have to break a cycle, and we have to know that it's possible to have these healthy relationships, but it takes us doing some inner healing, because a lot of the time people will stay in an unhealthy relationship because they don't love themselves, or they're trying to fill some sort of a void. And they don't think they're worthy of something good.
That's right.
Yeah. So ultimately it comes back to you, the individual. So it has to be a really holistic approach. Like we've got some deep healing and reflection that we all need to do to overcome these things.
Yeah, I agree 100%. As a matter of fact, that this generation now is the biggest yin and the yang that I could see, because the one that is getting it really are fully invested into it. The ones that don't get are just so off the cliff, even more so than the age that I grew up with, And when I'm saying that, I'm talking about the 70s, the cocaine, the rock and roll, the disco, and then the 80s even, got worse, because that's at the time where the culture showed a lot of violence, because of the advent of cable TV and so forth. But then music itself shifted to the point where it wasn't just about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. It was flat out about darkness. It was flat out about Satanism. And we really didn't have that until the 80s.
Yeah.
And that infiltrated my culture of my group to the point where I have peers that still in it. They think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread to listen to, Ozzy Osbourne. And I'm like, okay, the guy's walking around saying he's the Prince of Darkness, right?
Right.
And and it blows my mind on how lightly that they're taking these things.
Yeah.
And is it because of uneducated, or is it just because the MK Ultra compartmentalization that they're just so locked away they'll never understand it?
Yeah, definitely the MK Ultra plays a role. There's a lot of subliminal messaging too. And they've kind of infiltrated slowly yet quickly. But it's happened to like desensitize us to these things. And then it's like, oh, it's normal. It's normal. Like I lived in California for 6 months and I lived near Orange County. I'm a St. Louis girl. I'm a Midwest girl. I came in there naive. They loved me over there because I was nice and naive. In this area, it's very superficial. There was lots of good there too, I'm sure, but maybe I just found myself in that crowd. A lot of fakeness, a lot of plasticness, a lot of backstabbing, a lot of money, drugs, parties, that's the main thing. And then having all the hot girls on the boat, that's the main thing. And I noticed from being there for 6 months, I started becoming desensitized to that culture. Yeah. And I had to get out of there. Once I realized what was happening, I'm like, wait, this isn't normal. I need to go. So I can only imagine for people who grew up in Hollywood or grew up in some of these families or cultural dynamics that's just normal to them. Yes. They don't think twice about it.
Yes. Well, I would say this from firsthand experience. I lived there for 18 years.
Oh, really?
I went there for the music business and entertainment business.
Okay. So
it was about empowerment. It was, if you're going to go down this path, what you're going to do is you're going to not be made fun of. You're not going to be, disrespected. You're not going to be, all these things that was going to fill these so-called pain, like you brought up earlier.
Yeah,
the hurt that you have somehow that happened when you were a kid, that trauma, and you carry that with you with like a chip on your shoulder. So therefore, when you get introduced to dark energy, when you get introduced to the candy is what I call it. When they bait you with, hey, here's more money, here's more girls, or here's more drugs. All of a sudden it's like, oh, this is great. This is fantastic. This is everything I've ever seen in a movie, everything I've ever read in a magazine. So therefore, sign me up. Right. And then one day you find yourself dead broke and you're going, what happened?
Right.
And I'm not the only one that went through this. I guarantee you that. Right. But this is the uniqueness of this situation, that I think you do have to somewhat crash and burn on a certain level to kind of go, okay, help me, God. I need to know why I'm here and how to get out of what I got myself into. You have to humble yourself and down to yourself on that, right?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So
Definitely.
now the thing, what I'm looking at is because of social media, now we get to see all kind of crazy stuff. Okay.
Right.
And this is going to be maybe a question that is a little bit more edgier than normal, but number one question is humanity in the human form, the way we are, biologicals, are all the races the same? Being Asians, Indians, blacks, Mexicans, Latinos, white, are we the same? Or is there absolutely a definitive difference? Because there's behavior bad on every race. There's no question about that. But it seems to be there's a distinctive program that stays with, no matter how good person can be. Now, and I'll support that with this. When I was in the adult entertainment business in Los Angeles, I hung out with gang members. And within the gang members, there's a pecking order and a rule. It's almost like mafia. There's laws within the rule. There are some of the greatest guys that you can care, just like brothers from another mother. But at the same time, they will kill somebody on a drop of a dime.
Wow.
So that's why it always intrigues me when I see people that are so violently driven, not caring about other people. In your experience and your knowledge and the things you've learned, are we the same or are we not the same? How are we going to get out of this trap?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're all connected. I do believe that there's different with like the different races. I'm sure there's different extraterrestrial genetics kind of put in different origins from the different races. I think that that's plausible. That makes sense because a lot of us, we do look very different. We look similar, but we look very different. So I could see there definitely being different, and even with the blood types, we have different blood types, which I don't know if that would be normal necessarily, to have these different blood types. So there's definitely been a lot of genetic manipulation, a lot of genetic experimentation going on. And maybe there are some kind of core values or core even wisdom that is just intrinsic within you, depending on your culture. But also I think it's a lot of the programming. And it just generations and generations and generations and generations of living a certain way, doing things a certain way. It's just deeply engraved within all of us. And then you have the society programming depending on where you grow up too. So I think all of those are a factor. I think we can all come together though. I mean, we have to get out of this eventually. It's a bit of a messy process, but it's definitely possible. And I think that's where we're going. It might take something really bad and dark for us to come together. I think the children, I think everybody can agree on that.
Yes.
So I feel like that's going to play a really big role because like the human trafficking has impacted the entire planet.
Yeah.
So I think that could potentially be one way that we come together. Yeah. And that goes into like a whole other thing. You've got all the politics all around the different countries. And I'm not a political person. I wasn't. I did start paying attention once the galactic beings actually started showing me things because we're in a time of really big change right now. So a lot's being shaken up. And I do believe that there are positive factions kind of sprinkled in throughout who are helping to bring out some of these disclosures. And there's a lot going on behind the scenes that we aren't made aware of. But we're seeing some really interesting things right now. And something that comes to mind is Putin, who has just recently been talking a lot about the occult. He just recently banned the Church of Satanism in the country, and he's really hyper focused on that. So that kind of surprised me, but I'm glad that a world leader is publicly talking about that.
Yes, I agree. And the thing about the Church of Satan has been riding the coattail of freedom of religion for a long time.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, we can say Islam does the same thing, and I know people who's following this is going to start backlash. Oh, let's go get him for saying bad things about my God, and it seems to be, we have an issue with this, with my God, your God.
Yeah.
And the thing about this is religion serving humanity, or is religion the problem that we're having that we can't see past so we can get to the point of honoring our Creator, honoring ourselves, and honoring each other? Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, that religion is a very, very deep programming. I'm hearing mind control. There's a lot of mind control programming within that. And it's always putting something on a pedestal that's not you, when we should be honoring. That was another thing from an early age. Like I remember thinking and saying, well, I think, because that's a question with religion. Do you believe in God? That's a big question whenever you're growing up. At least for me, that was something that I thought about a lot. And because how are all these different religions? Who's right? Who's wrong? And then once I started kind of diving into this myself, well, a lot of the religions, they have kind of key things, similarities. Some of them, like a lot of like biblical stories, a lot of them have the flood, things like that. And it's like they all are connected in a way, but so it doesn't have to be separate. There's not all these multiple gods. There's just one creator. And I remember thinking, well, I think God's in us. I think it's actually in us. And that was like profound at the time. Now it's just like, well, duh, we're a piece of source. But at the time, it was like, almost felt like a taboo thing to say that. So yeah, there's been a lot of infiltration within religion because they just take advantage. They're taking advantage of people and just trying to control them and put them against each other. A lot of wars have been fought in the name of religion. So we need to move towards more of we need to evolve spiritually. And it's okay if somebody has a different kind of set of beliefs. We don't need to be coming after each other for it. But they've been using that, the dark side has been using that as leverage for a very long time and as a system of control. Now, when I went to Egypt, Islam is the big religion there, and there was a lot of programming. So whenever you go to like the different sacred sites, they have people watching you the entire time. They're very, very strict. They don't want you doing your own kind of like prayers or meditation or anything like that at these different sites. That is forbidden. They're also the women, they put on a lower pedestal over there. I don't think it's very common for an outspoken, woman. I know somebody who led a group there who almost got arrested because she was speaking about a different history than the official narrative. And they didn't like that, especially because she was a female. Not saying that's the case for everybody over there, just saying that is an element that I saw. And then I went and visited a mosque, and I just felt very, very dark. Very, very dark energy there, actually. And I got the download. The Anunnaki put that religion in place as a way of control. And not saying that it's all bad, but it's been infiltrated. So we just have to be mindful of that. And they have like prayers that go on the speaker systems all day. And I just thought that was really interesting. It's kind of like forcing you to participate and programming it into you. And that's just the way life is.
Yeah, absolutely. 100% spot on. Because, music business does the same thing on radio. They will feed you the same pop song 10 times a day until you cannot not like it.
Right.
And then they capitalize on the money. Of course, the artist who is just a figurehead means nothing to them. And this is a part that it's sometimes it makes me just an overwhelming of sadness. That's the only way I could put it. It almost brings because when I witness this, it's almost like we're fighting a battle that we can't win. That's how it feels inside. But then, of course, then there's a brand new day. You see a shimmering hope of light. And let me just clarify this with the Red Pill family. Religion is not all bad in sense of I have plenty of people that I know have done great things that is extremely religious.
Yeah.
So the thing is, it's about harnessing the energy and the focus of the intent on what you're projecting and what you're doing and bringing the truth into the third density and making that matter happen. So that to me is the integral part that nobody is teaching. But you being a starseed and now coming through and you're teaching this, right? And your starseed boot camp philosophy and start to bring other people in. So my question to you is everybody still capable of doing, or we now start to understand some people are not built that way, or some people are literally not us?
What do you mean by that?
Meaning that, like for instance, I went through a traumatic childhood in a certain way that I had to be rebirthed before I understood this. Red Pill family knows I used to be a Satanist. I was a heavy metal guitarist. I went through some serious dark stuff. But however, in my youth growing up, I learned about energy, manipulation, focus. I was able to, and I'll tell this story real quick. You know, the glow in the dark keychain type of thing, right? You were sticking next to a light and, 5 minutes later, turn off the lights and the thing is glowing green. So around 11 years old, I saw a television program called That's Incredible on ABC. And this kid from Japan was able to take a Polaroid film, make an image in his mind and say zap in Japanese. And then they'll open up the film, the Polaroid, and it would be an image what he projected. And he projected the Eiffel Tower. I sat there and went, this is incredible. I got to try this. So I took what I had around was that keychain, and I had a great bedroom with blackout curtains. So literally, if I stuck my hand out in front of me, I couldn't see my hand. And I did this for 4 or 5 days straight, and nothing was happening. I mean, I was doing it, I don't know, half an hour to an hour every day. The 5th or the 6th day, I can't remember, but I can't even remember how long it was. But my intents of focusing, seeing a light in my mind's eye that I kept on at it, I then pulled away the keychain. It was glowing.
Wow.
And it wasn't glowing like, next to a light being, charged from a lamp, but it was glowing enough that my room was no longer pitch black. Wow. And that was my first introduction really to understanding about what I'm capable of doing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. Well, I think everybody has access to these gifts in this knowledge. I just think a lot of the programming and it just kind of keeps us blocked off from it. Or it keeps you, so if you even think about like the Matrix films, it's very much about the power of the mind, right? Like how you can free your mind and you can create or do amazing things whenever you tap into that. I think it takes some consistency, just like how you didn't get it on the first try. You had to spend some time practicing with it. It's kind of like a muscle. Like you go and work out, you're not going to be super buff the first time you work out. You have to practice with it. But we literally are capable of these things. It's within us. It's within our DNA. We just have to sort of unlock it. So I do think that everybody is able to do that. It just depends. Are you able to free your mind? Or put in the work to do that?
I think discipline is the hardest thing. This is one of the reasons why I developed my book, The 365 Method. Let's see, go this way.
Awesome.
365 Method. It's a book that I created for my channel, and I have a council it just kind of share with you that I got into this back in 96, reading the book Open to Channeling with Oren and David. And once I read that book, and I don't even understand why I went and bought the book. I just knew that after doing Eternal Om meditation for so many months, that I went to a metaphysical bookstore, and that book just literally go, take me home, learn it.
Yeah.
And once I learned the channeling, they came to me and says, hey, I'm a counsel for you. Anytime you need me, trust me, and I will help. Right?
Wow.
So this book was developed for repetition, mother of all skills. 365 methods means this is a program that takes 1 year to complete if you do it right. And I learned this from a long time ago being a guitar player, right? Most of my friends quit after about 6 months to a year. I kept at it. Next, you know, I became a professional musician. Then the reason behind that was intent, focus, and passion. Those are the three key factors I think that all of us needs to understand, that this is your key to greatness. And we're not teaching this to any of the new generations. You know, I mean, seriously, let's look at pro sports. You got people who are invested their life savings, monies, and all this hard work that they go and put out, and then take that money and give it to millionaires and billionaires so they can rah something that's, you know, what does it give you? So that bread and circus aspect of it, I think, is the biggest downfall that we're still going through, because obviously this was back in Rome days and so forth. And, you know, here's also the funny thing is I went to Vatican City, went into the Vatican Museum. Talk about the dark energy place.
Really?
That is seriously dark. And right before you go into the last room, which no photographs were allowed, it's a painting. You know, all the paintings and the gifts from around the world had lights like a typical gallery. This place, the last painting before you walk into that door, has no lighting. So only natural lighting coming from a very small window. And all you saw was two glowing red eyes looking at you.
Wow. See,
You know what I mean? It's almost like,
uh-oh.
okay, there we go. Somehow we got jumped. Look at that.
We switched.
So, well, they're messing with us, aren't they?
That's really fascinating. And that goes to show, like, the hints of it are all over the place.
Yes.
If you just have the eyes to see, it really is. It's all over the place.
Right. And the thing is that the room that I went into that was not allowed photography or anything, it was a kill room, ritual room, dirt floor to soak up the blood, stone seating, everything that I've ever seen in a black magic book. That was the room. And it's in the Vatican City. I mean, come on, people, you know?
Right.
So as much as you say the Anunnaki that brought into this Islam and so forth, I firmly believe the reptilians brought in the Vatican and the Catholics, you know, so they can control. So evidently there's couple of factions, at least I would say, that is controlled the humanity aspect of it as we evolved, and they're constantly suppressing us so they can just feed off of us. I mean, either we're food source or loose energy level that gets them off. I think that's what we've been serving, and somehow, somewhere, the universe is coming back to all of us and going, enough. We're going to stop this now.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. The light is being shined on a lot of that right now. So yeah, I'd have to agree with that. That's really interesting.
So we're coming up to an hour, and I don't want to keep you too long. So tell everybody in regards to what you are working in regards to Starseed Boot Camp, and, you know, the things you work with clients and helping others and what you do. Besides the YouTube, which I benefit greatly from.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So I'll do YouTube, very active on YouTube. I post kind of psychic, intuitive updates, messages, things like that. And I like to kind of see the energetics behind what's going on, or maybe what's going on behind the scenes. So I share that a lot on my YouTube channel. I'll probably be covering a bit on the Epstein list, or at least kind of looking behind the scenes of how that's impacting the collective and where we are right now on my YouTube channel this Sunday. But besides that, I am working on, working through a Starseed boot camp right now, which is what I called the training I received from my galactic family. And a lot of it is, it's very deep personal work. It can help you to activate dormant gifts and ability. It helps you to work with your energy. It helps you with healing. And it also helps you to make contact with your guides, with your star family, things like that, to have these beautiful, profound experiences. So I'm working on that right now, and I'm doing a coaching program with it. But then after that, I'll be releasing it as a self-paced course. Right now, it's a 6-week coaching program. So I'll probably have that available widely in the next month or so. Besides that, I've got a Mount Shasta retreat coming up. I do spiritual retreats at some of these sacred energy vortex sites. I'll be announcing one in Sedona here soon as well. And in places like this, I've experienced a lot of really magical things. The veil's very, very thin. There's high energy, high paranormal experiences, UFOs, all that fun stuff. So I love kind of exploring and getting boots on the ground, experiencing this stuff for yourself. Because I can tell you all day what it's like, but I want you to experience it for yourself. So those are some of the next things that I've got coming up. I also have some workshops on my website, psychic development class, a deep chakra healing with inner earth beings and all that sort of kind of fun stuff.
That's fantastic. And of course, let me just show your book again. I recommend this book highly because I think you did a wonderful job documenting your path as well as explaining a lot of the differences between the race as well as the message. And one thing I want to kind of share with the audience here is you may already done some research and go, well, I don't need to know. This is already the same thing I'm getting. What folks you're missing is that every one of us has a unique path. And the more you learn from another person who's gone through that path, the easier that you're going to be able to assimilate your understanding. It's not saying that it becomes just, oh, well, it's easy now. It's not like that. But the more you can outfit yourself, the only way I could say this is if you're a guitar player, you only play the blues, well, then that's all you're going to do the rest of your life. But if you're a guitar player that learns every scale that's in the music theory, then if you sit down, you want to play jazz or you want to play bebop or you want to go play funk, whatever you want to do, you're going to be well versed at it. And this is what this type of book and this experience can do for you and your connection.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I like to break it down. In the book, I broke it down into very simple steps. I broke down complex things into kind of easy step-by-step guide, as well as sharing, personal experiences, because that's how we learn, and it might help guide you to having some experience of your own or help you make sense of some things that you may have experienced or felt, but you didn't really have the words to explain it.
Yes. And let's wrap up with this. You having a dietitian health background, how important it is at this point that now being enlightened, being connected, the type of food you eat, the things you drink.
Yeah. I actually feel like that greatly helped me having a dietetics background because I was already eating pretty clean. I'm very holistic with my approach. So mental health, physical health, nutrition, you are what you eat, basically. So a lot of the chemicals put in food, it just really bogs you down. It closes your energy centers. It calcifies your pineal gland. The water, terrible. So it's really important to drink either very, very well filtered water or natural spring water. Natural spring water is my favorite because the earth is the best filtration. And those things helped me tremendously with raising my frequency and being able to kind of have these experiences. Heavy metals is another big one. There's a lot of metals and just chemicals in the things that we eat. And it's like it kind of squeezes us slowly to where we don't even necessarily notice how bad it is until you might start experiencing some physical symptoms from that. Fatigue, being tired, no energy, whatever it may, headaches, whatever it may be. But whenever you clean up your diet and introduce more sunshine, spring water, cut out the chemicals, the preservatives, all of that, it makes a big difference. You don't have to be perfect, but if you're mindful of it and eat better quality food, it really makes a massive difference.
Yes. And also, what about the 3 meals a day thing? And you got to have breakfast right when you get up and all that. Is that actually a brain condition, the mind control thing? Because I've noticed that my stepdad ate 1 meal a day, and he was pretty spot on,
Yeah.
as functioning.
Right. Yeah. Well, fasting helps. I think it can depend on your body type. Everybody's a little bit different, and this probably goes also into like different blood types, different genetics, things like that. And so it kind of depends. I feel like everybody's very unique. Some people do really well on a vegan diet. Some people do really well on a carnivore diet. Who am I to tell them that they're wrong if they're healthier on that diet? And if they feel better. So I think it's unique to the individual, but yeah, like eating like a heavy breakfast, I always feel like crap if I do that. So, so I will eat kind of more smaller, more frequent meals, or I'll kind of graze, and that works well for me. It doesn't like bog me down so much. So yeah, I think fasting can be really helpful for people, but if you enjoy breakfast, I'm not going to knock on you for it.
Right. And of course, let's just go the other side. Sodas, pop, alcohol. Those 3 things are a $1 billion industry in our world. Easily.
Yeah.
Really.
And Coke there was an article not too long ago that there was like nanotech in some of these soda products.
Yeah.
Which that sounds like mind control. That tech inside of your body.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not good. So I would definitely stay away from sodas and liquid cancer. I'm hearing it's liquid cancer, and alcohol for sure. Alcohol opens up portals. It allows you kind of become detached from your body whenever whenever you drink or whenever you're drunk or hard drugs and things like that. It really allows for dark entities to come through. So it's best to either stay away from that or keep that to a minimum.
Yeah. Well, I would definitely say my dark days with the Satanism bit, that was my number one tool that I used on other people. And it is just, I can't really think of anything that's good about that product, except that I can clean stuff with it.
Oh, Coca-Cola?
No, alcohol.
Oh, alcohol.
Yeah. Well, Coca-Cola can loosen rusted bolts
Right.
and nuts and things like that. So you have to think, if it could do that, what am I drinking that for?
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So it's really insane. Any parting last words for the Repill audience, Lily?
Well, I would just like to thank you for having me on, and thank you so much for the beautiful praise of my book. I'm so happy to hear that my YouTube channel helps too. Like I said, I try to, I'm very positive about what's going on, and I really like to zoom out and look at this in the kind of a holistic, just zoomed out standpoint. And I think right now we're in sort of a messy phase. But it's exciting because so many things are coming out to the surface, and the conspiracy theories are real. A lot of them are real. And it's like, even with the list that just came out, and a lot of, what's her name? Nicki Minaj just went crazy on X the other day, talking about all of the rituals and things in Hollywood. Like, this stuff is coming to the surface, and that's good. So I think we're on a really positive trajectory. And yeah, I have good feelings about it. The number one thing is come back to your heart. Come back to the heart. I was experiencing some interference or some targeting, if you will, not too long ago. And I was woken up in the middle of the night by my guides. I heard a voice so clear, and I wasn't alone. It was a very benevolent presence. And they said, put your hand on your heart. So I put my hand on my heart, and they said, they can't control you through there.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was like, oh. So they'll try to get you through fear. They'll try to get you through stress, through anger, through all of these different things. But if you just come back to the heart, they can't touch that.
Yeah.
That's pure.
That's such great words from you, from the universe. And I barely scratched the surface. So I hope I can have you back another time, because there's so much more things that I would love to talk to you about. And for our Red Pill family, I want to thank you so much spending your Friday night with us on the Conversations on the Fringe. Visit Lily Nova on YouTube because, you know, with all this geopolitical crazy stuff, Epstein's file coming out and so forth, if you just find yourself enough is enough, come back and visit her. She'll center you. I do it. And with that, Lily, if you mind, stay with me for a second. I'm going to play us out on this outro.
Okay, sure thing. Thank you.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. The air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation. I want you to get mad.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people.
The more you fuck around, the more you're going to find out.
These people are still a part of that system, and that makes them our enemy.
We accept the reality of the world with which we're presented. It's as simple as that.
I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!